The Young Turks have been denied press passes to the Democratic National Convention, and that says a lot. I'm going to start by saying, first of all, most of you know the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur. It's the progressive, YouTube channel and network. Let me just say this, man. They never wanted the progressives. They don't want to entertain any progressive ideas. They hated Bernie Sanders. They don't want to give up the party. And the best bet the progressives have moving forward is to support Donald Trump. There, I said it. And this is your proof. The moment they get into office, they will marginalize, strip, and kick to the side all populists, right and left included. If Donald Trump wins and keeps the establishment out of power, the progressives actually have a chance of getting into office, congressionally, in the Senate, and yes, maybe even in the White House. But the Democrats and the establishment politicians, the never-Trumper Republicans, are fighting tooth and nail to regain control. They want to crush Trump and the populist right, and they're doing it to the populist left. And this is annoying to me because Young Turks, man, I know you guys rag on the establishment all the time. I love it when you do. I know we have our disagreements. I certainly think you should be granted your press passes being a very prominent news outlet. This, to me, reeks of bias. They do not want the Young Turks to be mainstreamed. They do not want these progressives to get access, the same as they don't want the populists. Now, for all the time the progressives have spent with Trump derangement syndrome ragging on Trump, I believe you will come to regret it. Because while Trump may be the antithesis of what you want, at least there is a conversation to be had among populists about what people actually want. Too many progressives adopted the establishment's position of Trump bad and Trump derangement syndrome, and now it will backfire on you. Here's the story from Heavy. The Young Turks email says DNC denied them passes to the convention. For those that haven't been watching the other shows, I am stuck here in a massive thunderstorm, so I apologize for that. Bear with me. Maybe many of you enjoy the sound of the thunderstorm, but let's read the news. In an email that's going viral online, the Young Turks told subscribers that Democrats had denied them press passes to the Democratic National Convention taking place later this month. The Young Turks is an online news show that focuses on social and progressive issues. Cenk Uygur is the co-creator and host of TYT, which is the longest-running online political talk show in the U.S. Milwaukee, where the convention is being held, has a 225-person limit on people meeting in one place. The convention is now being held mostly online. Joe Biden, other speakers, and the DNC delegates are not attending the convention in person. They will all be attending virtually, and Biden will speak from Delaware. TYT said in an email that the DNC told them there wasn't enough room at the convention. I don't buy the excuse. I don't. The Young Turks has a large platform. You make room. The reality is they're going to make room for small outlets. I guarantee it. I've seen it before. We're seeing it now. The news about the press pass wasn't shared by Uygur during an online, wasn't shared online on the show or on the Young Turks social media accounts. Rather, a number of TYT subscribers have said that they received an email about TYT being denied a press pass. Here's a screenshot of the email that's being shared on social media. It says, "Dear TYT fans, did you hear the news? The Democratic Party has denied us press passes at this year's DNC. It's fairly stunning for a party that claims to be inclusive to deny us media credentials just because TYT isn't 100% aligned with their interests. We're a progressive media outlet dedicated to exposing the truth about what's happening in this country. We're also one of the top 5 networks and have a massive politically engaged following, beating most cable news shows in total views and engagement, yet the DNC says there's not enough room for us at the convention." So who are they making room for? You know what, man? I'm sorry. You supported the establishment. I know not completely, but you sided with them in their attacks on Donald Trump when you shouldn't have. If the progressives aligned at least with the populist, just the word populist, and said, "You guys are fake news. Trump's right. You're fake news," the establishment would have been crushed. The only reason they've survived this long is because of the Young Turks, because of progressive commentary that decided to focus their attacks on Donald Trump instead of the establishment. Trump had them routed and on the run, and the progressives lined up next to them. Although they disagreed, the combined forces targeting Trump allowed regular people to maintain their position in support of the Democratic establishment. Think about what would have happened if after Donald Trump won, each and every one of these progressives said, F you, DNC, we will never, never support you. And we would rather see Trump win than you ever gain power. Every single one of these progressives standing opposed to the DNC and refusing to provide the arrows, the rocks to sling over at Trump's direction. I know the progressives attack the Democratic establishment often. Many of them do a great job of it. We disagree on politics. We argue with each other. They're critical of me sometimes. I'm totally okay with it. What I'm not okay with is you could be targeting the establishment. I don't spend a lot of my time complaining about the Young Turks. You know why? They are not the establishment. There have been some segments I've done when I see hypocrisy from large networks, for sure. But for the most part, they could have said, you know what? We don't like Trump. We don't like his supporters. However, as long as you're throwing, figurative rocks towards the establishment, so will we. That would have been the end. And come 2020, what would have happened? There would have been only room for a progressive candidate. Instead, the establishment was given at least some defense. So regular people heard the narrative, orange man bad. Imagine if the entire narrative was just Democrat bad. And there are progressives that rag on Democrats all the time. Okay, you got Jimmy Dore. Jimmy's awesome. I'm sure we disagree a whole lot, but I think he's a good dude. I just disagree, and that's okay. And he rags on the Democrats a whole lot. Good. Because the Democratic establishment has teamed up with the establishment Republicans, and this is what happens. They're giving you the boot, dude. At least now, I think, this close to the election, we will start seeing the progressive onslaught. They don't like Kamala Harris, and they don't like this. They read the email. Let's read more. The link is being shared on Reddit. On social media, some people expressed outrage at the DNC, but others said they were already unhappy with TYT, claiming Uyghur has been more centrist-leaning of late. A Facebook page called Progressive Resistance Media wrote, will this be enough to get Cenk Uyghur to wake up out of his centrist-leaning nonsense? I don't care for the arguments about centrism because I don't think the far left knows what it is. But I do think there's a similar sentiment to what I just expressed. When people are complaining about when they're complaining about Uyghur being centrist, I would actually assume what they're really saying is basically what I said. They're defending the corporate Dems too much. Stop it. I don't care for them. It is really tough. I got to be honest. It is tough. And I'll accept the criticism that I've gone a bit back and forth on whether it's better to have an establishment Democrat versus a far left. It is challenging. There have been a couple instances where I've said I would rather the progressive upstart who actually believes what they say beat the incumbent corporate Dem, because at least you get a fresh start and a real argument. I've also said, however, the far left is going too far. I think the reality of what I'm trying to get to is that we need left-leaning, rather moderate populist candidates who understand the orange man has his faults and he's bad, but he's not that bad, and the Democratic establishment should not be allowed to regain power. Some of the emails being shared originated from Brent Welder's tweet below, but Heavy has also seen it shared from other sources too. The email did not specify if TYT was only denied an in-person press pass versus a digital press pass, or if virtual press passes even exist. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why would you need one? It's not clear how many members of the press received press passes for in-person attendance. Don Ford, a Democratic strategist, told Heavy that he thinks the email and subsequent outrage expressed online is making a bigger deal out of the press pass denial than is warranted. Ford wrote, to be honest, I'm a little confused by the outrage. Most media agencies started getting trimmed months ago as the convention has slimmed down due to our federal government's failure to manage COVID outbreaks. Now the convention is down to less than 300 people, and there won't be the social interactions that we might normally have due to the pandemic. I am unsure what kind of access they would get being there in person, but I assume by the time the convention actually happens, most, if not all, the speeches will be given remotely. I'm disappointed as well that we can't hold an actual convention, but in 2020, there is no real event to gain access to that will be any different than what we see online. You know what? The Democrats love there's not going to be a convention because they knew how much people would protest it. I'm not kidding. In 2016, very few people protested Donald Trump at the RNC, and 1,000 to 2,000 people protested the DNC, and that would have made the Democrats look bad, and they don't want it. They're happy about this. And it's probably part of the reason they don't want the Young Turks to have a press pass to the convention. While it's true many of the speeches will be given remotely, so I don't think a press pass is as important, access to the establishment players and the people on the ground is extremely important for somebody trying to talk about what they believe and spread information. I am not a big fan of the Young Turks. I don't watch them. They've insulted me in the past, and Cenk Uygur snapped in my face. But I believe the main issue here, first and foremost, if they want to deny you, well, you know what, man, they deny you. But I believe the bigger issue is that they used you, they used your platform, you gave them the ammunition against Trump, you pointed the finger against Trump, and it helped the establishment and Democrats and Republicans. And if that helps them win, well, then it'll be your fault, because they will crush the progressive movement the moment they claim power. How many times do you have to warn the left that these things they advocate for will backfire on them? The Democrats don't get it either. But here it is. Now the Young Turks kicked out. Well, that's too bad. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.